All right, in the previous unit, we focused on business types and market structures. Now, unit 4 is it's going to be a relatively short unit that's going to deal with money and the financial markets. Now, money seems like a simple concept, but it's actually fairly difficult to grasp when you examine it in economic terms. So first, before money, we had a barter system. This barter system worked on people wanting things that other people had and exchanging for. This is problematic because one, it's very slow and inefficient. For instance, if I'm going to trade a shovel for, I don't know, 10 pounds of fish, what if I don't want 10 pounds of fish? What if I want 5 pounds of fish? Can I just cut the shovel in half? Not really. You can't divide it up. I can't buy exactly what I want. I have to buy what I'm willing, what I have to trade. I have to trade it for what it's worth, even if it's too much in some cases. The other problem is you have a double coincidence of wants, which means that in order to buy something from somebody, I have to have something that they want. Um, if I don't have something I want, then I'm out of luck. I can't get any fish. Now, to shed some light on this, we're going to read an article called "The Godless Dollar," and I'll read it for you. But I wanted to talk about, I wanted to look at these questions that we're going to answer before we start reading, because it's just a good habit to get into if you're going to answer questions on an article. Now, why was the Godless Dollar first worth $600, but later dropped to $40 to $60? And number two, would collectors consider the Godless Dollar only worth a dollar, or would they consider it more or less? Why or why not? So here's the article. I'm going to read it to you. Please follow along as I'm reading through it. An unknown number of new George Washington dollar coins were mistakenly struck without their edge inscriptions, including "In God We Trust," and are fetching around $50 a piece online. The properly struck dollar coins, bearing the likeness of the nation's first president, were inscribed along the edge with "In God We Trust," in pluribus unum, and the year and mint mark. The flawed coins made it past inspection and went into circulation February 15th. The U.S. Mint struck 30 million of the coins, which are golden in color and slightly larger and thicker than a quarter. About half were made in Philadelphia and the rest in Denver. So far, the Mint has only received reports of error coins coming from Philadelphia. Mint spokeswoman Becky Bailey said. Bailey said it was unknown how many coins lacked the inscription. Ron Guth, president of the Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the world's largest coin authentication companies, said he believes at least 50,000 error coins were put in circulation. The first one sold for $600 before everyone knew how common they actually were, he said. They're going for around $40 to $60 on eBay now, and they'll probably settle in the $50 range. Guth said it appeared from the roughly 50 smooth-edged dollars he has authenticated that the problem had to do with quality control rather than mechanical error. These coins are struck like normal coins. Then they go through another machine that adds edge lettering in another process. These apparently skip that process, he said. We've seen a couple of instances where the edge lettering may be weak or indistinct, but we're not talking about that here. The coin's design has already spurred email conspiracy theories claiming the religious motto was purposely omitted. That rumor may have started because the edge lettering cannot be seen on head-on photographs of properly struck coins. So why was the Godless Dollar first worth $600, but then dropped to $40 to $60? The problem was that people thought it was unique. There was only one of a kind. They didn't realize there were a bunch of these godless dollars out there. Number two, would collectors consider the godless dollar only worth $1? No, they valued it more than $1 because it's a unique thing. So if we build on that concept, what gives money its value? What decides how much something is worth? We do. It's how we perceive money and how much we can get for it, how much purchasing power it has. That gives money its value. Anything can be considered money as long as people accept it. So, for examples, everybody knows about cigarettes in prison. People trade cigarettes for um, different things. They use it as money. It's a type of currency in that situation. Now, there are three functions of money. First is it's a medium of exchange. It allows us to trade things without having to go out and find somebody who is willing to trade, an hour of teaching for my groceries. It's also a unit of account, which means that it measures the value of things, how much value certain things have. And so you can compare you can compare two items. You can compare a Ford Focus to a Maserati, and you know that the Maserati costs more, and so you know that it's a higher quality product. And lastly, money allows us to save up things. If I'm a farmer selling corn, I can't save my corn up for 10 years because it'll start going bad. It doesn't last forever. But money will. I can save up money for 10 years to buy a new tractor or whatever. In addition, money also has to be something that we can carry around with us, so it has to be portable. People have to be able to recognize it and know that it is money and know that it's worth something to other people. It has to be divisible, so we can't, like I was saying before, I can't cut a shovel in half to pay for my groceries. And so I have to be able to split it up if need to. You have to be able to get change for $1. And something that's going to last a long time. It can't dissolve. It can't be food because food ends up just rotting away, right? Or going bad, and so it loses its value over time. So money has to keep its value. Um, the official term for money is the Federal Reserve note. This goes back to when these notes were actually like placeholders. Dollars were actually placeholders for gold. And money was linked to gold until 74, I think. The first tie to gold was cut off in 1932, and then the last tie was cut off in 74. So if we're talking about the money supply as a whole, there are three things that add up or account for being money. One is physical money, like currency, the dollar, the dollar bill you have in your pocket right now, that counts as the total money supply. The second thing is whatever you have in your checking or your debit account. That money is not actually in the bank. Banks only keep a small percentage of the amount of money you have there. There doesn't have to be an actual dollar printed for every dollar you have. They're just numbers in your bank account that the bank keeps track of, and then they'll produce hard currency for if you want. And lastly, traveler's checks, which are traveler's checks are just like dollars, except they're linked to your bank account instead of backed by the Federal Reserve Bank. The most commonly used form of money in the United States is a checking or debit account. The last thing is credit cards. Credit cards are not considered part of money supply because they're not money. They're actually small loans given out to individuals. And so anytime you use a credit card is just a bank saying that we have pre-approved you to borrow money from us anytime you want up until this certain amount. And so if you have $1,000 limit on your credit card, the bank says we'll lend you $1,000 anytime you want to borrow it. And so anytime you go and swipe that card, you're just borrowing $100 or $50 or however much money you're buying. And so the bank pays for the thing you're buying, and then you have to pay the bank back, or you pay the credit card company back.